24 laps to go here at Texas. It's Reddick and Logano.
Still on you. Both of you have your help.
Tyler Reddick will take the lead when they come back to the line.
Eyes forward here. All clear behind. Vibration got really bad again. The 8's complaining about a vibration. So let's keep our eyes peeled. 5:15, white flag.
And what has been a bizarre day is going to end up a happy ending for Tyler Reddick.
Come on, bring it home. Yeah! Let's go! Great job, guys! Yeah!
Hey NASCAR fans, welcome to the preview show delivered by DoorDash. I'm Kim Coon alongside Alan Cavanna in Studio 3, and the NASCAR Cup Series is headed to the Lone Star State for the first race in the round of 12.
The round of 12, second round of the playoffs, crazy round, Kim. We have Texas, then we go to Talladega, and then the Roval. I mean, I can't think of three more different tracks. Dangers around every corner. You have to be good, have different skill sets at each one of these. That's why it's so important to go out there and win this weekend in Texas, because if you don't, you're facing Talladega and then a road course. Such a unique stretch of the schedule, and just happens to be in the playoffs at the best time for these drivers going for a championship. I love it.
I would go as far to say that this is the most important first race of a round in the entire playoffs. You can make the argument for the first race of the round of 8 is important because it gets you into the championship 4, but I think this one has the opportunity to really be chaotic. We didn't see as much chaos in the first round as I thought we were going to, so I feel like that chaos, it's harboring, it's festering. I think it's going to play out in this next round.
So much importance, yet they're going to this race without much of a notebook. They haven't been to Texas in a full calendar year. What does that mean for the teams?
Well, it means their notebooks are slim for a couple of reasons. There's a new right side tire, but then first and foremost, the race is only 400 miles. We are cutting it down a full 100 miles. So for crew chiefs, they've got to go back to the drawing board in terms of strategy, what they can expect. I think things are going to ratchet up. A shorter race means, to me, more intensity. And we talked about it, Talladega and then the Roval, everybody wants to win Texas. And I think that all builds up to what is going to be a crazy Texas race.
And what's crazy about it is that I think back to last week in Bristol, another track you only go to once a year. Teams showed up without much of a notebook, and what happened? We saw some big teams struggle mightily. Harvick and the Ford crew, 22 of Joey Logano, they were out to lunch when they showed up at Bristol, a track, again, that they didn't have much of a notebook on. I think about that this weekend as they show up at Texas. Teams don't have much to rely on. Who's going to miss it? Who's going to hit it? Because it cost teams so much last week if you showed up to the track and didn't have what you needed. It could happen again this weekend in Texas.
Absolutely, but if you hit it right, you punch your ticket into the round of 8. So who are you looking at?
Well, I got to look at some of the winners that we had in the first round. Think about it. We had Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick both get victories in the first round. The last two winners at Texas, Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick. So you know they're going to be pretty good at Texas. They've both been so good on these intermediate 1.5 mile tracks, especially this year with all the speed. If it's not Larson, if it's not Reddick, I'm giving still the slight edge to the Hendrick cars. I like their speed. Mr. William Byron, young Willie B.
Okay.
He led more than 40 laps last year at Texas. I think they got a lot of speed. Slight edge if we're going between Hendrick and the Toyotas. What do you think?
I have one of those drivers in my bucket. I'm looking at the Toyotas. I just think they're going to dominate. Toyotas have been just outright so fast at 1.5 miles. So I do have Tyler Reddick in that boat. I think he could absolutely dominate this weekend. I have Denny Hamlin. It's hard to ignore what he was able to do in the first round. They have speed each and every weekend. And then Christopher Bell. I'm so curious to see if they're able to clean up their mistakes. You know, that team was able to sweep all the poles in the first round. I think there's a great opportunity for them to lead from the pole at Texas. But the question is, can they go mistake-free? And if so, he could certainly be the one to end up in victory lane.
Polls are good. Checkered flags are better.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. We have set the stage for you, so now it's time to get our playoff polls, the good, the bad, and the wild card. So let's start with the good.
The good for me at Texas, I'm sticking with Kyle Larson. What he did in that first round, historic, average finish, 2.33 in those first 3 races. He's won at Texas before. He's led plenty of laps, plenty of speed. I'm sticking with him. He's my good. How about you?
Well, I mentioned Tyler Reddick. Let me tell you why. Last year, he won this race. He was in a completely different car. He did it in the 8 car. Now he's in that Toyota camp. I mentioned they've been so fast at 1.5 miles. We saw what he was able to do at Kansas. So for me, Tyler Reddick is good this weekend. All right, on the flip side, who's in the bad category?
On the flip side, I can't believe I'm saying this. Chris Buescher, all the guy does is win, right?
No.
Not at 1.5 miles. Check out these stats. I couldn't believe when I heard this. One top 10 finish in the last 15 races on 1.5 mile racetracks. Obviously concerning going to Texas. You don't get a lot of shots there. Never finished better than 15th at what should be considered his home racetrack. He's a Texas boy. Those were eye-opening stats. Christopher Buescher on my bad list.
He's on my bad list too. I know, I hate to say it. He's going to his home state. I hope we're wrong. So we'll have to wait and see. And then finally, the wild card. For me, it's going to be Ryan Blaney. They've kind of had this split season when it comes to mile and a half. They haven't really had the outright speed. They've talked about it. But then you think about his one win on the season was at Charlotte, a mile and a half. He does have good stats at Texas. He's finished top 10 in 8 of the last 9 races there. So for me, it's like, which Ryan Blaney are we going to see? He didn't really show up in the first round. What's he going to do to kick off the round of 12?
I'm using the same logic. Which 19 car are we going to see? Which Martin Truex Jr. is going to show up at Texas? Because he's the regular season champion, had a great season, shows up in the first round, struggles, barely makes it into the second round. Which 19 car are we going to see show up? We'll learn a lot about that team and that driver on Sunday at Texas. That's why he's my wild card.
Well, the good news for Martin Truex Jr. and some of those other drivers is it is a complete reset. We'll see who gets off on the right foot. Now, each and every week we look at the NASCAR 75 flashback. It's Texas Motor Speedway this weekend. So what year are we headed to?
Let's go back to 2014. It was a great race, but what we remember are the post-race fireworks. Late restart here. Brad Keselowski feeling the urgency. He makes contact with Jeff Gordon. It cuts down Gordon's tire, ruining Gordon's chances at the win. Actually, Jimmy Johnson would get the win, but no one remembers that, Kim, because of this post-race scene. At first, it's just Brad and Jeff kind of jawing at each other, but then Kevin Harvick does his infamous push, and it is on. Crews, teams, drivers, everyone in the fracas. Brad gets punched. Jeff Gordon is bleeding, and we're talking about it forever. Memorable to say the least in NASCAR 75 years.
I would say so. You know what? Everything's bigger in Texas, including the tempers, not just the adversaries. You think about Jeff Gordon versus Jeff Burton having fights at Texas. It never disappoints.
Woo, love that track.
Yeah, we're hoping it doesn't disappoint this weekend either. Don't forget to tune in to the Auto Trader Echo Park Automotive 400 this Sunday, September 24th, 3:30 p.m. Eastern on USA.
And join us right back here next week for the preview show delivered by DoorDash. She's Kim, I'm Alan. We'll see you then.